Okay, hi. So in this video I'm going to be giving you some collection updates. I wanted to make some changes to my collection recently, so that's what I will be updating on. I don't necessarily make these videos for any reason other than because I want to get my thoughts out there, and I kind of want to hold myself accountable a little bit, and like sharing this helps with that. So that's what I'll be doing here. So if you want to hear about the changes I will be making to my collection, you can stay and watch. If not, that's fine. Yeah, so I'll get started. I have this notebook. I just recently started this journal for my collection, and there's no specific format I want to use for it. There's just, it's just there for whenever I have thoughts with my collection, or maybe I want to like map something out in my photo card binders or something like that. Literally anything. If I have thoughts about my collection and want to map them out, I can do it here. So that's basically what I did. I'll show you a little bit. This is the main page I will be showing you today. These are where all the updates to my collection are. So whenever I make updates to my collection, I write out every single group I collect for, and I kind of look at it that way. So like if you look at this list right here, it's really long. So there's about 35 groups on this list, and honestly it's really overwhelming, the amount I've been collecting. Like it just suddenly hit me how much I'm collecting. So I don't know, I wrote this all out. I put stars next to any groups that are inactive, and I also marked any collection that is up to date or finished. And basically any group that has both of those marks next to it I crossed out. So technically I don't collect those groups anymore because they're finished completely and it's not changing in the future. With all of those crossed out groups off the list, it's about 25 groups that I'm still collecting. And then I have this just one to collect in the future when they have physicals. So I want to collect signature for sure. Like I just decided to make maybe not big changes, but significant enough changes, I think. If you see here, these are the collections that I'm considering doing something with. Like right here, I was just talking about I lost motivation to collect these groups in particular. So like I don't really have any motivation moving forward to collect LOONA or like any of their future releases. Plus I want to get rid of most of their backlist that I have. I've just kind of lost interest, and it's not to say that I don't like the music, because I really do like the music, but it's just I need to get things off my shelf so I can make room for more of my priorities. And same thing with like Chungha. I don't really have the desire to moving forward collect her releases. Like as much as I may like her title tracks, like I noticed how much I don't really like her B-sides, so that's like a huge thing. I may like one song on the album, but the rest of them, if they don't really vibe with me, then I don't really see the point in one, keeping the stuff that I have, or two, like continuing to buy her albums. So like I won't be buying her latest comeback, and I'll be getting rid of most of the albums of hers that I have. I think I'm gonna keep one, that being the Gotta Go single, just because I really love that song, and it's just that one song on the album, so I can justify keeping that because I technically like the whole thing. And then for CIX, I only really want to collect one version per release for them now, just because I don't feel like I have the desire to collect every single version of every one of their albums. I like them, but I think their music is good, but I don't know, there's just something about them that doesn't make me want to collect them super in depth. So yeah, and same with WJSN. I don't collect WJSN, but I've been going back and forth with picking it back up again, and I ultimately decided that I can't do that right now, and I will not be doing it in the future. I only have 3 albums of them, but I was thinking about getting rid of them, but then I'm like, well, no, I really like those albums. But then also I think if I just keep 1 or 2 of their albums and move on, that'll be fine. So like I said here, I need to give up collecting groups whose members I'm not super into. So examples of that is what I've already discussed, like LOONA, CIX, WJSN. With CIX, I'm not super into the members. I know and love Jin Young, but I know the other members, but I'm not super attached to them. With that said, I don't have the huge motivation to collect them all that much. So but then exceptions to that are Pentagon and 100%. I collect both of those groups based purely on musical content, basically, just because I don't have a Pentagon bias and I'm not super attached to the members, but I do love a lot of their music, so I want to collect them. And with their albums, I take it a little bit differently with 100% and Pentagon. For Pentagon, most of their releases are just 1 version per release, and that's easy. There's nothing hard about that, and I also only buy the releases of theirs that I really like. I'm not buying their most recent album just because I wasn't super in love with it, and there's also another album of theirs that I'm not getting because I didn't love it. Oh yeah, there's 2 of their albums, 2 or 3 of their albums that I'm just not getting because I wasn't super into them. And like, I don't feel bad about that. Like, I don't feel the need to have them to complete a collection, even though like there's a lot of collections of mine where I'm like, I have to complete this, I need every version of everything. But then there's very few collections. I'm not like this with very many collections, but like there's just some that I'm not super pressed about having everything. And Pentagon is one of them. I just collect them super casually and I'm okay with that. And then same with like 100%. If I like the music, I buy the album and like I'm okay with not having everything. But a lot of their stuff does go for super cheap anyways. So like if I want to complete the collection, I can, but like I'm not really out looking to absolutely have everything that 100% has done. But like I said, their stuff like goes for super cheap, especially on like Mercari Japan. Like I got 2 versions of their album plus a photo card in one listing for 300 yen one time, and that's like super cheap. And then there's one really big thing that I decided that I'm not doing anymore. That is, if I like the music enough, if I like the whole album enough, I will buy the album. I've come to the conclusion that I don't need to do that. Like, yes, I may like the album and I may really like the artist that it's coming from, but if it's not from one of my priorities, I do not need it. There was a lot of groups where I was like, I won't collect everything, but if I really like the music, I will buy the album. But I realized I don't need to do that. Like, I can just listen to the music and be fine with that. Like, I don't need to own it. And that's just a really big thing with kind of the conclusion I've come to lately. Like, I just really realized, and it was like an epiphany kind of, like I just realized that a lot of people just collect their faves. They do have a lot of different groups that they may listen to, but they don't collect them for just because they don't need to. Like, they want to focus more on like their favorite groups and their alts and stuff like that. And I mean, like, that's something I can do too. Like, I don't need to own everything I like. And there's already a lot of stuff that I like but don't own. But there was just something about my collection beforehand that I was like, well, I really like this music, so I'm going to buy it. But I don't know really much about the members or things like that. I don't know. Like, that's like the biggest thing about like this whole update. Like, these groups that I'm not really collecting anymore, that's like the main thing. It's like I can like their music, but I don't have to buy it. But I mean, like, there's been groups in the past, well, that I still even listen to today that I love their music, but I don't buy it, and I've never been really motivated to buy their albums. Like, I've never really wanted to buy or collect them. So like examples of that are like Day6, Dreamcatcher, like SNSD even. There's just a whole bunch of groups that I like that I don't feel the need to buy their albums, and the amount of different groups and artists and stuff that I'm feeling that way about is just growing. So yeah, like, for the most part, a lot of my collections are staying intact, but there's just some that I'm cutting down a lot, and I feel good about that just because it takes the pressure off me a lot, because it feels like at one time there's always a lot of releases I need to buy when I also don't really have much money. Like, I haven't been working for the past 2-ish months almost because of the virus. And I mean, like, even before my state shut down, like, I wasn't working because of the virus. And it's just like the nature of my job just meant that it was like one of the first things to go. And I mean, it's really sucked because I haven't had a paycheck since, you know, March. And I mean, I'm lucky enough to where I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of bills and stuff. So like, I'm fine and I can still buy some stuff for my collection. But it's like, I've been needing to save money and I haven't been able to spend every single cent I have on, you know, my collection. So I don't know, I think that especially like with that happening, it's like it put it into perspective for me quite a bit, just because I don't know, it just made me realize that I don't necessarily need everything. And even like my reorganizing of my shelf, that kind of pushed me to be a little bit more strict with who I'm collecting. I don't know if that's not really the right word, but like I just don't feel the need to buy everything, just because I don't know, like my shelves are full basically. I mean, there's definitely room on my shelves, but for the most part they're full, and I've had to organize them in a way where there is space, and I don't have a lot of other space in my room in general. So it's like there's just a whole bunch of different things that made me realize I just don't need to be collecting all of this stuff. And I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm not letting go a lot of stuff. Like, I kind of am, kind of not, but it means a lot for me going forward as well. Like, there's just a whole bunch of stuff I don't have to worry about buying, and then there's, you know, stuff I will be selling and stuff like that. So, and like one of the reasons I even can buy stuff right now and like contribute to my collection is because I've been selling stuff, and it just feels really nice to, you know, kind of get rid of the stuff that I don't necessarily see as essential in my collection, and then buy more stuff that I consider a priority. So like, I've been wanting to focus a lot more on NCT lately, because I don't know, they just have a really big collection, and I mean, like, I love NCT to death and I want to own like a lot of their stuff. Like, I don't need absolutely everything, because just in a grand scheme of things, like, there's just some stuff I'm not gonna be able to get, and like, I'm totally fine with that. Like, there's some stuff I just don't want. There's some DVDs that I want, well, a DVD that I want. I want to be able to afford their future releases. Like, they're always doing stuff, and there's a whole bunch of merch and stuff I want from them. Like, I've recently decided that I'm gonna close this. But I recently decided that, like, for NCT and stuff, like, I want to focus a lot more on them, and I want to be able to, you know, buy their DVDs, buy their photo books, buy their merch, like, concert merch and stuff. So, like, there's been a whole bunch of Super M merch that I've missed out on, basically just because I haven't been able to afford it because I've been buying other things. And it just kind of sucks because I've been wanting to collect more Super M stuff for Taeyong, but I just can't. And I was like, oh, well, I don't really need Super M stuff because, I don't know, it's Super M. But I like Super M just as much as I like, you know, NCT and WayV. I've been wanting to collect more members of NCT. Theoretically, if I were collecting every single member of NCT that I wanted to collect, I'd be collecting like 8 members. But, like, that's a lot. And I'm already collecting 5 members. And I want to start collecting Lucas, so that'll make it 6. So there's just a lot of, like, members that I really want to collect. But I realistically can't do that if I'm collecting a whole bunch of other stuff too. And there's also just, I've been wanting to buy merch for, you know, Taeyong. I've always, you know, said that I can collect album cards for all of my NCT biases, but I also can collect extra stuff for Taeyong, but I want to collect extra stuff for Ten too, and I want to collect extra stuff for Yuta, but like I can't because I have no way to afford it, really. But like I'm just really hoping that moving forward I can focus a lot more on the collections I want to focus on, because I find it just, it's just really hard for me to like focus in one area. Like if something's coming out, I feel like I have to have it soon, when in reality I don't. Like I could get it later, but like I have the money now, so why not buy it now? But it's also like, I don't know, it's just the way I collect, and I've kind of accepted that. But the way I'm kind of remedying that is by getting rid of a whole bunch of stuff and not collecting certain things. I think that's what's best for me. Like some people might say, well, you don't necessarily have to give it up. You can just, you know, put it on the back burner and wait. But like that's not how I like to do things. So me doing it this way is probably what's best for me. And like I don't feel bad about the change I'm making. I definitely feel really good about the change I'm making, and hopefully it can help me in the future. So, but with that, I think that was everything I had to say. Yeah, I think that was everything. If you have anything you'd like to say, make sure to comment, and you can, I don't know, we can have a discussion about our collections and how we like to do things. But thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.